national colors for me, white and red. So I'm always
And
Boros is my color. I think this is the most played archetype in every single format I played in the last 2 years for some reason, and there is a good reason. I play mainly best of one, and white and red does what best of one wants to be doing. So early aggression, good carve outs, and I don't know if I built this deck optimally. I think that there's many builds for white red in this particular version. This one I built around what wizards want me to do. So equipment theme. That's why I put a couple of decent equipments: the Valkyrie sword, the Dwarven hammer. I think that these are excellent because you can play them as a dual mode cards. Really,
yep.
I think especially Valkyrie sword, you don't want to play it always for 7 mana. You sometimes want to play it as just a 2 mana equipment and then put it on some kind of a flyer.
Yep.
Dwarven hammer, you probably always want to play as a 5 mana thing because you don't need it that early. It's expensive to equip. You'd rather want to have a 5/1 trampler initially. And I think that I played it quite low on the equipment in terms of having only 2. And there's the forging of the Tyrite sword, which allows me to look for an equipment on top of that, which I think is a good card draw.
How do you feel about Valkyrie sword, for example, right? Because if we're playing it just for 2 mana, it doesn't auto-equip like we are used to
it doesn't.
from equipment in Zendikar Rising. So that means we're paying 3 later on to actually get it onto our creature, right? Like at that point in time, we paid 5 over 2 turns, which is rather close to paying 7, right? I mean,
but 5 over 2 turns can happen much quicker than getting in this particular deck up to 7 lands on board.
Oh, for sure. But you have been spending 5 mana at that point to not do a lot,
but,
right?
If I have 4 lands and I start top decking mode because I just run out of things in hand, I will probably get to 7 mana in 6 turns. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think it is very good to just keep the Valkyrie sword in hand at a point in time where you have like four lands in play and 0 in hand, right? At that point in time, you're just playing it out and you're not waiting.
Exactly, and especially I have a couple of the slightly expensive-ish flying creature. So I have the Sternheim Cursor, which actually is great because then you can play the Valkyrie sword for 6 mana. It lowers the price of artifacts and enchantments that you play.
Right.
So that speeds it up, and then I don't have to play the Valkyrie sword. 6 mana will arrive much quicker than 7. It's 2 turns earlier that you will get to 6 mana in this type of decks. If I don't have much card draw in here. And I have the Stalwart Valkyrie that you can equip the sword onto it and just start smashing for 5 and hopefully win in this way. There's not so many flyers in this set, so if you can kill a couple of them with the Demon Bolt, you should have an all clear to go through with your Valkyrie. And if you equip her, I guess that you can win the game like this. There's not so much reach as well. But let's maybe look at the uncommons here, which uncommons I put. Call the Forge Master, because that's the thing that you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
It's a good card because it's a 2/2 for 2 with the big upside. But one thing it makes is your Valkyrie Sword Angel becomes 7/6 rather than 6/5. I don't know if that can change anything. And your Dwarven Hammer Dwarf becomes a 6/2 trample rather than 5/1 trample. But the problem with this card is that it doesn't protect itself. So it saves your equipped creatures from dying because they come back to your hand. But they can just bolt it. It's just a 2 toughness creature, and then they can proceed killing your equipped creatures without a problem. So I'm not super keen on it.
And it's also a bit, yeah, the effect is powerful, but also the fact that the first line of text wants you to equip non-token creatures, of course. But then the second
Yeah.
line of text would like you to have tokens. Is also rather.
Well, I think it's actually no. I see it only as upside because the first ability is just useless with tokens, so they gave it an extra ability so
So
that
they give
if you
plus.
have tokens, because what's the bonus of returning to your hand a token
Oh
creature?
no, there is none,
So they
right?
said exactly. So they thought, well, let's give something extra. So I treat it as an extra bonus, not as a reason to it, but it's something nice that they added so that the token creatures don't feel left alone,
Fair enough, but we're not
which is
going.
good.
We're not going out of our way to equip tokens here, right? We rather
No, no.
equip non-token
I
creatures
think
and.
it's an incidental bonus. I think that the first ability is way stronger and way more important.
Yeah, I think the second ability might have so little impact that we're going to forget it from time to time. Actually, I can see that.
But yeah, call is certainly good, and hopefully you can get it for your equipment deck. But if you don't get it, I don't think it's a tragedy. Let's
No.
put it like that. It's not essential for your deck functioning. The next uncommon I think is quite good. The Rune of Sustenance, and I'm generally high on runes. I think that also this deck might want to play the Crown that finds a rune instead of maybe Wings of Cosmos or something like that.
Right.
Because putting this on Dwarven Hammer is basically Loxodon Warhammer. And I'm a Magic boomer. I played with the original Loxodon Warhammer when it was first released. It was good then. Then it was released later in some master sets, I think, and it was still good then, and it will be still good now. Even though you need to spend 2 cards, but you get one of them back instantly to assemble it. Loxodon Warhammer is great. It just makes you. It's so hard to lose a game when you play it because everything just smashes, gains you back to life. They can try to race it, but they rarely win that race. So Rune of Sustenance, I think, is great.
Yeah, works great with Call as well, right? It's not only equipped, it's also enchanted creatures you return to your own hand. So it's
Okay,
it's not
works fine.
it works fine. So I think the runes are definitely high picks when you have a Call in your deck.
This particular rune, because I think the red one is much worse in this deck even.
Yeah, but I would probably still play it if I have a Call the Forge Master in my deck.
Oh yeah. Oh, if I have and if you have the rune lord as well, and I think that the crown is going to be a very good one. So now I look at it, I picked up Valkyrie sword because I think it's an interesting equipment, but it could easily be the 3 mana crown that finds a rune.
Right.
Especially if I have 2 runes, I think it's great.
And I would also play the 1 mana red equipment in this deck, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think that definitely Wings of Cosmos probably I put a bit optimistically as an instant trick, but I probably should replace it just with an equipment.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe before you continue, Fatfus asks in chat about the red-white utility land and whether you think it's good in this deck. Maybe
I think it's good. I just didn't want to be cheeky and put more uncommons than I could, but I would definitely play it, and I think that you will be able to draft it quite easily, because and it's also a good signal taker because if you have another red-white drafter at the pod, you probably won't wheel it, but if you don't, then you probably will wheel it because no one else will want that. It's such a specific effect for equipment decks.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up quickly, maybe for the.
Yeah, sure.
So it's the X-Guard Armory.
The X-Guard, that sounds to me like some kind of deodorant with extra protection.
X-Guard, it does remind me a lot of the of things like Midgard, right? I think the name is very fitting for the team. So it's a white land basically that enters the battlefield tapped, and then you can tap it, pay a colorless mana, 2 red and a white. You can sacrifice it and you can search your library for a aura card and/or equipment card as well, right? So it's another.
The important part is and/or.
Right,
you
can find
and
one.
an equipment in one. Yeah.
You can find 1 or 2. Yeah. You can find one of
and
each.
2
basically.
is amazing. I mean,
2 is
and also
2 is value.
And also the fact that you can find equipment and a rune at the same time, and then you can just play the equipment and rune it instantly. That's great.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah.
It just in most of the skeletons, because of the limits I put myself on construction, There was just no space for putting the lands, although I would probably play them every single time in every single combination. They are all great because even if they don't do much, they are still a land.
Yeah, fully agree. Fully agree. I think it's yeah, no, I agree. I'm not sure what I was going to say.
I mean, I was a well-known MDFC hater, and I think that these lands are just exactly what I wanted my MDFCs to be. A land early in the game and a spell late in the game when I don't care about the land anymore.
Yeah.
While with MDFCs, I was always faced with this choice. Do I keep it and then risk getting mana screwed, or do I play them and then get flooded and get annoyed that I played the lands? And they were so much feel bad for me when I played those cards that in the end, I stopped playing them. I just played like one or two per deck, and most of the ones that I played were the 1 mana ones when I knew that I can always play them.
What?
Like I really like.
Why do you think they didn't make some of them snowlands? Like it's kind of a missed opportunity, right? That the Simic one is not a snowland, for example.
It would be too good.
Would it? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want to give the snow. Don't encourage them. They already have enough. They have the payoffs that only they can use, and that's a super big reward. Don't give them more.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I was just curious. Okay. Okay. So we talked about coal. We talked about the runes. We talked about the equipment we have in this deck. What else is here?
Oh, just your random assembly of creatures, and I think that all these creatures are replaceable. To be fair,
Right. Two
oh,
mana, two
the Story
lifelink.
Seeker can be an Axgard Cavalry. You want some 2 drops to give early aggression. I didn't think that much about which creatures. This one actually will be probably really good because there is no X1 hates, and this one leaves a body behind. So this is probably going to be even better than the Story Seeker.
Yeah.
Depends on how you're racing and what kind of racing scenarios are we going to have from those decks. But just a lot of creatures is fine, I think, and
Some demon bolts.
some demon bolts, some creatures, and some equipment synergies.
What
I
do you?
think that this deck is going to be literally put creatures in, put a couple of equipments and some synergistic equipment cards, and hope for the best. I think that also this deck maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe be the one where you can actually play the inspired charge variant, that the new one,
Oh, yeah.
or the double strike card.
Yeah. I think you would like a couple more shield mates then at that point in time, if you're going for that.
Probably, yeah.
Because you wanna have a more consistent board, I think,
Yeah.
to make us playable.
And then I put a random rare. Really, I just put something that I thought would be super aggro, and I think that
Protector is awesome.
Flyer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's just a stats monster. There is no synergies with it, but it does the job. But you can put the Saga.
Yeah, which is a sick card, right?
Yeah, I think, and also with the more sagas you play, the more you want to play the Master Skald.
Yeah, that's the one that looks for
Yeah.
if you do return target artifact or a shaman card from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah, and I also think the more sagas you play, the more interesting the courser becomes, right?
Exactly. I mean, there's small synergies there, but there's like nice thing about white red is that you don't have almost any graveyard synergies, so you don't care about exiling creatures that died that much.
Right.
So that the cost is.
And you're very likely to have a creature in your yard at turn 5, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you don't have a creature at that point in time, you probably won the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that suggests that you didn't lose a creature in combat, which is great.
No, that could also suggest that they played the 3/6 Panther and it stops you completely from any attacking, and you just sit there staring at it and hope for your flying equipment.
That is definitely a scenario as well, yeah. Although at that point in time, I might just attack with a 2/1 Beskir's Shieldmate just to get a creature in the yard.
Maybe.
Another uncommon you got here is the Shepherd of the Cosmos.
Yeah, I think it's great in this deck.
Yeah, you can foretell it, so you can into to play in turn 4.
So the fact that it brings back a permanent and not a creature is good, because you can bring all. If they kill your equipment, you can bring it back. If you use your land to draw equipment and then aura, you can bring it back because it brings back lands as well. So there's like small things that you can do with it extra that you would normally not be able to do, and you probably won't have a lot of 1-2 drops anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair point.
And it's a 3/3 flyer, for God's sake. It's great with equipment to have a 3/3 flyer that can swing with this as a 6/3.
Right, you just mentioned that there weren't many flyers in this set, but here we got the Shepherd, we got the Valkyrie, we got the Protector, which is a rare, of course. But then there's
Well,
also
rare,
the Pegasuses. So I think in red-white, especially in the top end, there's quite some flyers here.
There is, but the flyers are mainly in white. That's the thing. I think there's more flyers in white than there are in blue, which is a bit atypical, I would say.
Yep,
white became that part of color pie when you get the flyers.
Yeah, fair enough. Valkyrie Sword might bring a flyer.
Exactly.
I'm very curious how many times we're going to play this for 7 mana. I'm really curious.
I think depends on the matchup, but it's realistic.
But then this isn't a 16 land deck, right? At that point, we're just playing 17 lands and being.
But I'm playing 17 lands in this one.
Yeah. Okay. No, I agree.
For that reason, exactly.
I agree. Okay. Cool. Maybe have a quick look at the stat line before we dive into the next one.
Can we do the white-green next?
Sure.
This is my. So I've been talking with Alex quite a lot recently, and he really is hot on the 1/2 first strike flying Pegasus, and I made a white-green version of the deck with it. It's not the skeleton I think will be the most common for the. But okay, let's first focus on these.
Sure, we will.
Now you see here, you see a nice mana curve. Look at the number of 2 drops. It's large.
Yeah, it's large.
That shows you aggressive deck, you know, not like the blue thing that doesn't have 2 drops and wants you to survive.
Yeah, no, fully agree. And the curve is nice in common as well, right? If we just look at the common curve, it's already
exactly.
Sweet.
And you know, when you think about it, that even the 3 drops at common, sometimes they are the foretell 3 drops that can be foretold and played for 1 later. So they still fit nicely on the curve.
Yeah, fully agree.
Of playing 2 drop and 3 drop on turn 3, which is as good almost as playing 2 drop and 3 drop on turn 2 and 3 respectively.
Yeah, no, agree. Yeah, as we can expect, low toughness from this color type. Rather low power, but well.
You see, but the low toughness is the interesting thing, and that low toughness I think is going to make things that are like 2/4 much more powerful in this format in general. That's why I'm stronger on this 2/4 for 4 mana that can come with a +1/+1 counter if you control 3 creatures of the same type in blue.
Right, because
I think
blocks.
that it's going to be it blocks well. It blocks quite a lot, and it kills quite a lot while it blocks it. And if it becomes a 3/5, it blocks almost everything, to be fair.
Yeah.
They will have to use a card to kill it then, because.
Fully agree. If we look at red-white here, it's almost only mythics going over 3 power and 3 toughness here. So yeah, for sure. For sure. You didn't really discuss Bound in Gold. You didn't include it here, although it is an enchantment, so I think it fits the archetype pretty well. You can use it to remove a large blocker on the other side of the battlefield.
I just looked at the chat and I saw that Dominic has a question.
Oh sure, bring it up.
The 3/6, the CMC of that is 6 mana, but you can foretell it and play it for 4. So it's basically split into half 4 turns, 3/6 vigilance, which I think is an excellent defensive stat line and the excellent timing of playing it.
We're talking about the white cat, right?
Yeah, the cat.
Yeah, that's a sweet one. Here it is. Godshawk Guardian. It's maybe too small, but indeed, it's exactly what Sierkovitz said. It's 3/6. And yeah, bringing that into play on turn 4, it's pretty sick.
It's
it stops most of the creatures, I think.
It's almost as good as the 3/6 cat token I have here.
What's it called?
It's called Scorcher. And you need to know British sketch shows from the 90s to know why.
Okay. I was hoping for a Harry Potter reference there, but
No. This is strictly British humor.
awesome.
Or humor.
Yeah. Okay,
but okay, you were asking about the...
Yeah, Bound and Gold is a fair include in this archetype, right? I think it's it has synergy with...
Let's put it like this. I think it's going to be better than it used to be. But I played probably around 60 drafts with white in Zendikar Rising. I played Nahiri's Binding 4 times. So that's how much I love pacifism effects.
But the Hero's Binding was horrible, right? Not only was it double white, it also was a set where you didn't want creatures left on the battlefield.
That's true. There's differences.
It was a set where there was a lot of bounds, especially in blue at common. There were so many reasons why that card was horrible.
That's true. Fair. I agree with that. Here you will have things that you can sacrifice creatures. You have village rights. You pacify something, they just sacrifice and draw 2 cards.
Fair enough, yeah.
That's not great. You have still the...
There's still downsides, but I think they're way less downsides.
The fact that it can enchant permanent rather than creature is a big thing, because you can kill their Icy Manipulator, and I think that it's going to be a great play. But I picked not so much removal for this deck, because I don't have space for a lot of removal, a lot of equipments, a lot of equipment synergies, and a lot of creatures, which, by the way, is the reason why the land will be so great, because it doesn't take space, and it's your equipment synergy card.
Yep.
And I just decided that the Demon Bolts are way better than...
Fair enough.
And I think that it's a fair, because it is better. But I'm not going to turn away the Bound and Gold if I can draft it. So I'm probably going to play it quite a lot, much more than 4 times, I assume.
Yep.
Who knows? Maybe even in double digits after 60 drafts.
After 60 drafts? 60 drafts in white or just 60 drafts in general?
In white, yeah.
Oh,
60 drafts in...
Then I predict more than double digits, probably.
No, yeah.
It's
definitely, but this was a combination. I probably would have played more with Nahiri's Binding, but people on MTG Arena were super high on it. It was still the top picked white common at the end of the season. So
wow,
me being low on it and then being high on it, it means that I can never pick it, because it's never there in the pack when I'm ready to pick it at pick 7, 8.
Oh.
You had to be quick. It was picked on average as 3rd, 4th pick.
Fully agree, and let's see what Bound and Gold brings us. But I think there's definitely more potential here than there was in Zendikar for
hopefully, because they really need to. If white gets their removal as pacifisms, you want to make them playable.
Yeah, fair enough. Another card here that was it in your deck and was also mentioned in chat is Battlefield Raptor.
Let's leave them for the white-green, because it's all about the Raptor there.
Fair enough.
But I do